One thing is for sure is I will never let these people go into a fantasy and delude themselves into thinking that what they're participating in, this program, is what they fantasize it to be. The truth is, we target individuals are just human subjects who are pushed into torment and torture for the purpose, obviously, to develop a technology. They are using this highly advanced technology onto us to continuously add advancement to this technology, to this program already very much advanced and sophisticated. But it got there because of the human subjects they've been utilizing that on. They push us to do target individuals to lose our mind. This is part of the result they try to get, and continue to adjust this program to the point where total control is what they can do. And I've been a target individual, and since August 19, 2019, I've been dealing with what you call V2K. Now, why am I showing this picture? What is this? This is a GoFund email of an update I've got on, I think, October 25th, not too long ago, 2023. There was one of the largest mass shooting happened in Maine. 18 people died. The man who killed had all the sign of a target individual. He could hear voices, which started maybe earlier this year in 2023, or just maybe late last year. And he was saying that these people were saying derogatory things to him. They were calling him a pedophile. And he ended up causing a mass shooting. Now, this is typical target individual symptoms. This man was in his 40s or just turned 40, right? And this is not typical of schizophrenic. You don't just start having those symptoms just randomly that late in your life. And this is not the first, this is not the first time this happened. Of the same story, same exact story, different mass shooting. And so there's a pattern of what they do. And so at this point, I'm kind of sure that this individual was a target individual, and they were doing the same typical derogative things they do. Now, this child, who you see there, with a father, the father ended up being one of the 18 dead. He died. I decided to donate him some money. I don't, I have money, but I know my money is going to be, at some point, I won't have much. But I do this proudly, knowing that this trash doing these things to me, wanting me to let them live in this fantasy of what they're part of, are involved in the program, involved in the same program that caused this man to end up killing 18 people. This trash involved in this program that would cause somebody to kill that many people would not be the people being killed. Most likely, they'll be safe somewhere, expecting that to happen. And so they will be these cowards pushing somebody to kill, but be nowhere near, or if they're near, quite safe. And so now, this trash wants me to see them as if something else. They've done so much horrible things to not only men, but a lot of children and women. And these people are just the bottom feeders of this. They're just bottom feeders in life, period. They wanted to live these fantasies, their money. This is not their money. Government entities are running this program and actually probably incentivizing them with financial incentives. And I'm sure there's other incentives, which I'm not sure what they actually are, but let's just say the ability to manipulate a man or woman can be an incentive on its own. You're basically playing God. So that alone can make anybody, even if it's not just for the money, wanting to involve themselves in this. I'm sure they find fun out of it. The ability to just be able to see what somebody is doing, manipulate that person, agitate that person while doing this in their safety, in a place where it's nice and safe. So that alone could be an incentive. But for me, they've been trying to also create this psyop, try to make themselves believe that they're these people who are avenging and you're gonna pay for what you do. And you hear these people talking to me, and not only you just heard the last video about what they've done to women, the torture of them, but also what they've caused certain people to do, which ended up causing death of even children. In this case, there was a 14-year-old child that died. I donated to them too. This low life who wants to live this fantasy and tell me how they're gonna frame me. It's like, do your nasty trash things. You are foul human beings that will get yours. Don't worry. I'd rather die in this horrible way than having to live my life to counter reality. Can you imagine watching a mass shooting and know that you are involved in a program that pushed this to happen and finding out that so many people died? I prayed that I never lose my cool and do something to even if they're participants. This trash don't deserve anything. Let them die the death that they need to die. Let them live this long life of trashiness, living this deluded reality where they try to vilify you, manipulate you, and make you accepting of these manipulations while they involve in all kind of nasty things. They also torture children and women. And then they tell themselves, no, this is fate, we got you. These people who've been humiliated by reality. Another mass shooting. This mass shooting is one of the worst in the United States history. Number 10, to be exact, in history of this country. It's fate that I am seeing that while they wanted to create this fantasy. And so much other stuff have validated me that the fate has shown that I should see them truly for what they are, not what they want to fantasize as what they want to be. Now, listen to a little bit. Listen to what caused this man to lose his mind.
I'm Michael Navarro. This is The Daily. Today, the mass shooting that occurred in Maine last week, killing 18 people, was the country's deadliest of the year. It may also have been one of the most avoidable.
And the documents show that these warnings concerned his deteriorating mental health, rising paranoia and anger, and they came from pretty much every part of his life. But as we now know, none of those warnings prevented this mass shooting.
Well, Nick, where should we start in the story of those warnings? You mentioned that they go back many months.
I mean, the first time when the local police are really made aware that this guy is a concern is about 5 months ago in May, when his ex-wife and teenage son go to a school resource officer. And the school resource officer calls down a sheriff's deputy to speak with the family. And in that interview, the teenage son and the ex-wife say that he has started to hear voices. He's started to be increasingly paranoid and angry. They also note he has collected about 10 to 15 guns that he kept at a relative's house and brought them back to his. So they're going to the police and saying that he has access to a large number of firearms. I mean, they were very worried about him, and I think what they also were struggling with is not understanding where to get him help and what kind of intervention might lead him to be more aggressive and more isolated.
So what's the response from the local police after the family has this conversation with them?
The deputy has this conversation with the ex-wife and the teenage son and seems to talk to them at length and learn a lot about Card's behavior and his career in the Army Reserves. He was in the Army Reserves for 20 plus years at that point. And the deputy and the ex-wife basically decide that the best place to get help is probably through the Army Reserve. Not understanding where to get him help. Relative's house and brought them back to his. So they're going to ex-wife and teenage son go to a school resource officer, and the school resource officer calls down a sheriff's deputy to speak with the family. And in that interview, the teenage son and the ex-wife say that he has started to hear voices. He's started to be increasingly paranoid and angry. The teenage son and the ex-wife say that he has started to hear voices. He's started to be increasingly paranoid and angry. The teenage son and the ex-wife say that he has started to hear voices. He's started to be increasingly paranoid and angry. Decide, I think, largely to leave it in the Army Reserve's hands.
So the police come up with a kind of informal solution to this problem, which is work with the Army Reserves.
I think that's right.
Okay, so what happens next?
So the next thing we know that happens is in July. Card travels with his reserve unit to West Point, New York for an annual training exercise. And there's a very concerning incident that takes place. They're all hanging out together at a motel, and he starts accusing them of calling him a pedophile. This is one of his paranoid delusions that comes up repeatedly. He shoves one at one point, and everyone is just freaked. This is one of his takes place. They're all hanging out together at a motel, and he starts accusing them of calling him a pedophile. This is one of his paranoid delusions that comes up repeatedly together at a motel, and he starts accusing them of calling him a pedophile. This is one of his paranoid delusions that
So you hear this, as I'm saying that they try to mess with me, these common things you've heard before. Matter of fact, as I was recording this, they were trying to counter by making me remember things they made me experience, as this technology has the ability to manipulate you in so many ways. As you can hear, even speaking is getting tough because they're kind of changing how I'm trying to say something. But this is not the first. This sounds exactly like what you're going to hear now.
Individual. This shotgun is the primary murder weapon. On it, he etched a number of carvings, including "End to the Torment," "Better Off This Way," and "My ELF Weapon." Alexis had been hearing voices and believed he was being bombarded by microwaves, something naval authorities knew about.
There are multiple indicators that Alexis held a delusional belief that he was being controlled or influenced by extremely low frequency, or ELF, electromagnetic waves.
And in his computer files, the FBI found this.
A document retrieved from the electronic media stated, quote, "Ultra-low frequency attack is what I've been subject to for the last 3 months. And to be perfectly honest, that is what has driven me to this."
And so on what should have been a routine day, Alexis killed 12 people. Mothers, fathers, sons, daughters. Diane, they never had a chance, and still no answers as to why so many red flags were missed.
So this is the pattern. They've been pushing people to kill, while these cowards do these disturbing things in this comfort, in the safety of wherever they're doing this from. I am just thankful I've never involved myself in that. Whatever God-like feelings they felt, it'll be quickly reminded how nothings they are. Whatever manipulation they made me experience. Matter of fact, I know that me making this video is something they orchestrated, which is okay. As long as it brings back the reality of what they're part of, I will always follow that path. So, this is just another example of how foul and low life these people are. I just thank God that I never involved myself in that, and I ask God to give me the strength that I'm gonna have to deal with the horrible things I'm gonna go through, because I've been provoking these people by bringing up the reality of what they're part of.